He starts off with 4 basic principles of leadership. Principle number 1, 3 strikes and you're not out. In the game of baseball, 3 strikes and you're out. Not so in the game of life. 3 strikes and you're not out. There are 2 things a leader can do. He can either contaminate his environment and his people with his attitude and actions, or he can inspire confidence. Good point. There's always another way in life, right?
Sure.
3 strikes, 4 strikes, you can keep swinging. There's no umpire to call you out. Back to the book. He must have and display the will to prevail by his actions, his words, his tone of voice, his appearance, his demeanor, his countenance, and the look in his eyes. He must never give off any hint or evidence that he is uncertain about a positive outcome. So that's something that, we saw in action in the book. We Were Soldiers Once and Young, when, Rick Rascola comes up and says, "Where they at? Good. I hope they bring in everything they got tonight."
Yeah.
Just, even though inside he admitted he was worried.
Yeah.
And then you hear the reactions of the other guys. They were saying, "Well, that's cool. At least this guy's in the game. Look, I'm game. If he's game, let's go."
Yeah. Do you think that could elicit some sort of a blowback?
It definitely could.
It definitely could.
In fact, I have my note there. You want to see my note right there? It says, can you read that? It says, "Really?"
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things. For sure.
Yeah.
You're right. And if you roll in and you're getting smashed and you show, you can seem oblivious to reality.
Yeah. Exactly.
He addresses that. Stand by. Here we go. Back to the book. It struck me early in my reading in school and later in life that is a common theme running through books and stories about great leaders was their positive outlook, positive mental attitude, PMA. For all those Bad Brains fans out there, they were aware of the pitfalls. This is your point. They were aware of the pitfalls and negatives, but they refused to fret and worry about them. So there you go. We're not talking like, "Oh, this isn't happening over there." Like, remember Baghdad Bob? Are you old enough to remember that?
No, but I think you mentioned it before.
Yeah, Baghdad Bob, while the Iraqi army was getting obliterated in the first Gulf War, he was sitting there going, "Oh yes, we've had many victories." He's just completely oblivious to what was happening.
Yeah.
And I think there was literally like bombs going off in the background. Yeah. Baghdad Bob. Okay, here we go. Back to the book. Principle number 2. There's always one more thing you can do to influence any situation in your favor. And after that, there's one more thing. And after that, there's one more thing. And after that, one more thing. The more one more things you do, the better your chances are for achieving success in any situation. This is interesting. A leader must create time to detach himself mentally and ask, what am I doing that I should not be doing? And what am I not doing that I should be doing to influence the situation in my favor? So he's talking about detachment. Mm-hmm. I agree with him, clearly.
Yeah, it's good to have those like specific things to ask yourself when you detach. You know how I'd always ask myself like, okay, what do we have here? But even that's like a broad question.
That's too broad, right?
Yeah, that's way better. That's good.
Yeah, if you think about your life,
yeah,
and you were constantly saying like, what should I be doing right now?
Yeah.
And what should I not be doing? We're all doing things that we should not be doing, right?
Yeah. Well, not me, but yeah, man.
Oh, you're just
perfect.
So we're all doing things that we know we shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And we all know that there's things that we should be doing that we're not. So detach, look at yourself, do an assessment.
Yeah. I'm sure that's like a gold mine of things you can change right there.
For sure.
Those 2 questions alone.
For sure. Here he says, a leader is paid to do 3 things. Get the job done and get it done well. Plan ahead. Be proactive, not reactive. Exercise good, sound judgment in doing all the above. To get the job done, the leader must have a clearly defined mission along with specific goals and objectives. So, there you go. Brandon Pickworth hit me up.
Sure.
Because the last podcast I was talking about goals, and he had sent me a text about getting belts. I think it was about getting belts in jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it was. But anyways, he was basically calling me a hypocrite.
Interesting.
Because, you know, my thing is like, hey, you train to get better. You don't train because you want this thing, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You train because you have I should see, it's not that there's no goal there, but your goal is different. Your goal isn't a material item of cloth.
Yeah.
Your goal is to get better at jiu-jitsu. Brandon.
Yeah.
You're on lockdown.
You want to hear a very seemingly far-fetched analogy to that, but it's not. So the other night I was making arts and crafts with my daughter.
With Presley? Or
Yes.
were you just chilling out doing some paper mache?
Yeah. So what did she do? She basically, I said a joke, right? Mm-hmm. And then she laughed at. No. She said a joke, mm-hmm. and then I laughed, mm-hmm. and then so she said, "I'm gonna say this joke again and laugh again, just like how you did before."
Yeah.
So I'm like, so I thought about that. Of course, I did it, mm-hmm. but
weak.
Story of my life, right there. But so she says it, I do it right. And then I'm thinking, like, isn't that interesting? She got the laugh, and that was a big payoff. Yeah. But here's the thing. In a way, she shouldn't be focusing on the laugh. She should be focusing on saying funny jokes. The laugh just comes
she's
with
4.
it.
Would you take it easy?
No, I didn't tell her that. I didn't scold. But you see what I'm saying? Yeah. No, same thing. Jiu-jitsu, you focus on getting better at jiu-jitsu. The belt will come as kind of like a result, a little byproduct, if you will, just like the laughs. So, you know, when you're telling jokes, go for the funniness, not for the laugh. The laugh will come.
I'll talk to Presley. I'll pull her aside. Have a little chat with her.
Well, maybe, you know, Brandon Pickworth, you know, maybe he'd, you know, find that very enlightening. Just saying.
Tighten him up. He did, by the way, he did do his 100 burpees in sub 10 minutes. He actually got it. I forget what his time was.
Yeah, I never went back there to do that, man.
You did it easily? Didn't you do it easily?
I did it. It depends on what you mean by easily.
You did it or not?
I did it. Okay, for sure. Cool. I did it with a.
Then you might as well say it was easy.
Yeah. No.
Did you have minutes to spare?
I had a minute to spare. If I remember correctly, I had 1 minute to spare, and I knew that at the last.
So you coasted, cruised.
Yeah, I coasted into the finish line.
Cool. Weak.
It was still kind of. I was sore the next day. I was actually sore.
Really?
Yeah.
Brandon, on his video, he did good burpees. I'll give him that much credit.
Yeah.
Better burpees than my normal burpees for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, like his burpees look clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So mine.
They didn't merit like 12 minutes. But he got that down.
Yeah. If you would have saw my burpees and said, "Hey, those aren't full. All of those aren't full burpees," I would not be surprised. Put it that way. I still can't really.
All right, going back to the book. The smart leader should always think through the what ifs and have a plan on how to handle them before they occur. Time so spent is never wasted. Things do not always go as planned. So, again, he talks a bunch about planning, and he's like, "Yeah, things don't go as planned." And we all have to remember that. Mm-hmm. The smart leader must also be mindful of his organization's constraints and center of gravity. There can be one or several constraints that inhibit getting the job done, and I think we all kind of understands that. And he says that the constraints must accurately be defined. But the center of gravity idea was a little bit more interesting to me. Here we go to the book. The center of gravity is the principal thing or activity that must be in balance or under control for an organization to operate. It is the organization's source of strength. In addition to understanding your own center of gravity to protect it, you must recognize and attack your enemy's or competitor's center of gravity to defeat them. In that battle in Vietnam, my center of gravity was the landing zone. So he's talking about the I Drink Valley, and he knew that and locked that thing down and fought hard for it. Dean, I was training with Dean, I don't know, a few months ago. And then he was teaching a class. And one thing he said that was really interesting and really smart about jiu-jitsu is he's like, hey, when you're on the ground, you can't have your balance attacked. Meaning if you're on the bottom, you can't have your balance. You're already down there. So you have to mess with the person's balance on top. Yeah. He's like, they can't mess with your balance because you're already down there. Yeah. You need to mess with their balance. Yeah. Good point. Huh. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things. Yeah. There's a lot to that.
Yeah, man.
There's a lot to that.
Interestingly, it's like now because you're talking about like a really deep fundamental concept, one single one. For sure. And a lot of times we don't learn all of them, you know, in jiu-jitsu and obviously in life too, but we don't learn all the fundamental concepts. So even you can go through life and be successful, you know, varying levels, and then get introduced to one fundamental concept that'll just like, dang.
And this is something that I know, we all know. If you do jiu-jitsu, you know that if you're on the bottom, you got to sweep to get on top. You know that. But what he wasn't even saying sweep.
Yeah.
He was saying you have to attack their balance.
Yeah.
Because you can't have your balance attacked because you're on the ground already.
Yeah.
You attack their balance. And it's just going to open things up. He wasn't talking you're going to sweep every time. No, you're not. You're going to get the arm lock, though. You're going to get a position change. You're going to roll them into a heel hook, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting when he talks it like when General Moore here is talking about, not only do you have to know your center of gravity, you got to know your opponent's center of gravity. So that's what you attack, which is interesting because people would most heavily defend their center of gravity, you would think. And therefore, it would be counter to the Sun Tzu principle of don't attack the heavily guarded area, or a heavily defended area. But you got to find a way to get through to their center of gravity. Otherwise, you're not going to put them off balance. You're not going to win.
Yeah, like that's one of the goals, is to attack that. Because some people, even because Dean totally clarified the concept for you, know, where it's like this is going on in the game.
Yeah.
And, maybe in certain circumstances it's intuitive, like, okay, I'm going to attack this guy's balance because specifically I'm going for a specific sweep or whatever. Maybe it'll come in and out of your mind. But if you have that clear in your mind that that's part of this whole game that we're playing.
Yeah. And go back to the Sun Tzu. Well, just because this is me figuring out right now is just because you're attacking their center of gravity doesn't mean you have to do a frontal assault on it. You should still flank it.
Exactly what I mean. Yeah. But now, at the end of the day, that's part of my goal. My goal isn't just to kill everyone or whatever. It's like, okay, we're going to attack this center of gravity specifically because that'll open up what and everything else that comes with it.
Yeah.
But it's clarified now.
It is. Back to the book. While getting the job done, the leader must plan ahead and create the future. He must be proactive, not reactive. Truly great leaders have acuity, are perceptive, aggressive, enthusiastic, can see trends, analyze them carefully and correctly, have a vision, have confidence in it, and can inspire and motivate himself and his people to make it happen. That's a big laundry list of things for a leader to be doing. That's why leadership is a hard job. Think about all those things I just rattled off. He must have a positive attitude and must hate the word no. He must have smart, well-trained people to run day-to-day activities. He must check up on them and make sure the job is getting done while he stacks the deck for future success. So you can see right now he's not micromanaging. He's getting people that can do the job, and then he's looking forward. Principle number 3, when nothing is wrong, there's nothing wrong, except there's nothing wrong. That's when a leader has to be most alert. Complacency kills. Leaders are paid to create order out of chaos. History is replete with examples of leaders who failed because they became too complacent. In the days and months leading up to Pearl Harbor, American military leaders were confident that the Japanese could never strike American soil. Our naval intelligence said that Pearl Harbor was too far out of reach for a Japanese naval task force. They were also convinced the harbor was too shallow for a torpedo attack. Instead of prioritizing the threat from an aggressive naval enemy, the Army Air Corps commander at Wheeler and Hickam Fields put a higher priority on the threat from spies and saboteurs. They grouped the planes together at the airfield to make them easier for walking sentries to guard on foot patrol. But when the Japanese bombers arrived on December 7th, the clustered American planes became turkey shoot targets. Didn't know that. Didn't know that. Wrong threat assessment.
Yeah.
And now you're doing something that's actually going to help your enemy's real attack. But it's complacency. Principle number 4, trust your instincts. Instincts are the product of one's personality, experience, reading, and education. That's interesting, right? He puts reading in there. You're actually getting experience from reading. And you know who else said that? General Mattis. General Mattis, he reads, I think he has a personal book collection of like 5,000 or 7,000 books. Personal book collection.
That's good.
And he said that's to prevent him from being surprised, because if you know history, you know the future. But that's a great definition of what instinct is, because people think instinct is this something that's some mysterious thing, right? But no, it's your personality, experience, reading, and education.
Yeah, as far as the context he's putting it in, I mean, instinct obviously is clearly defined as something else.
What is it clearly defined as?
I didn't say I knew.
Oh,
but
okay.
No. You know how like animals have instincts to. And we have instincts to procreate, like all this stuff like that. I mean, obviously he's talking about a specific concept.
Yeah, he's not talking about the instinct to procreate.
No, something else. But I'm saying, you know what I mean. It's not that as mystical.
Yes, his definition is not mystical.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, read, learn, experience. That'll be your instinct.
And then so you know like how your gut feeling kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's me. Like if you don't have any experience and any like you're not reading nothing, and you don't have any, you're not gonna have many gut instincts.
No, you will. You'll still have them.
Yeah,
they'll
be way off. Yeah, exactly.
Isn't it funny? I was talking about this with someone when sometimes like with an injury, let's say you have an injury and you think I'll just do this, but what you're doing is actually completely wrong.
Yeah.
That happens to me sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll have an injury and I'll say, you know what? I'll just keep stretching it.
Yeah.
It hurts a little bit, but it'll be okay. I think that's helping it. And I'm just wrong.
Yeah.
just completely wrong.
Yeah. And so let's say you did that just over and over again, which you probably have. But I'm saying the normal person, you do it over, then the instincts will kind of recalibrate itself. And then
because eventually I go, hey, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
And now my instinct becomes, hey, demobilize that broken wing or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Check.
Just like if you don't know jiu-jitsu and you get into a fight with someone who does know jiu-jitsu, you're going to do your instincts that you know, which is nothing, by the way.
And your instincts are going to be completely wrong.
Wrong. But you do jiu-jitsu
I'll push this guy off me.
Yeah, exactly. Or I'll power out of this, or I'll go all super hard.
No, that's a great example.
Yeah, and then when you learn jiu-jitsu, it recalibrates your instincts. Now
your instincts are good.
Yeah,
and proper. Unless
you get one of these tricky guys who knows your instincts, so he's gonna base his instincts off of your instincts. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now we're getting into strategy, though.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, back to the book. Now he's talking about instinct. It's a kind of sixth sense. When seconds count, instincts and decisiveness come into play. In quick developing situations, the leader must act fast, impart confidence to all around him, must not second guess a decision, make it happen. In the process, he cannot stand around slack-jawed when he's hit with the unexpected. He must face up to the facts and deal with them and move on. When my head tells me to do one thing and my gut tells me to do another, I will always go with my gut. Why? Because my gut, as I've learned, is rarely wrong. Now that's a bold statement right there.
Yeah.
You gotta, if my instinct are telling me one thing and my brain is telling me something else, that is, to me, that's time to reassess what's going on. Because I got some conflicting things happening.
Yeah.
Because I'm fairly logical in thinking through things. Mm-hmm. And if that is getting completely countered by just some emotional feeling, which kind of, that's what an instinct is, right? That can be, might even be, it can be emotional.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to watch out for.
So you got to watch out for that.
Yeah.
One.
It seems like in a emotion or a situation predicated on emotion strongly, like a relationship with somebody. You're like, I'm just going to go with my, in this case, not your gut, it's your heart.
Yeah.
I'm going with my heart.
People saying to go with my gut. Yeah. You're wrong.
No. Yeah. You're probably wrong on that one. Wrong. Think about it. Think
the logical side.
Yeah.
Back to the book. Instinct is a kind of caution light, an early warning, or a gut feeling which can on occasion result in a far better decision than one based on a logical process. One rule of thumb I learned more than 60 years ago at West Point is, if there's a doubt in your mind, there's no doubt at all. In other words, if you know in your heart that an action is wrong, don't do it. One of my sons calls this the rule of doubts. Above all, never try to fake out, deceive, or fool the people under you. Not only is it wrong, but the troops can smell BS from miles away.
Hmm. See, and that starts to make more sense if it's something that's wrong.
Yeah, then it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Then it makes a lot of sense.
Rather than right.
The way I would hear this in the teams, I didn't know it came from West Point, but they'd say, if there is a doubt, then there is no doubt, which I guess is the same thing, which is just shorter. If there is a doubt, then there is no doubt.
And that means what? Like if there's any doubt, then that means there's no doubt that it's wrong.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
Or if you're saying, wait, I don't know if this is the right thing to do, it's probably not.
Okay.
Probably not. Instinct.
Like when ducks fly south for the winter. Wait, is it north or south?
They fly south for the winter.
Yeah,
so they can be warmer.
That's an instinct, by the way.
I don't know what that is. Is that an instinct?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Straight up. Just like if you're a baby, like suckling, so you can feed, that's instinct.
Interesting.
See.
Back to the book.